The individuals that they detained are in the back of the warehouse. We have been able to see that they have them on the floor. If you are in the area, it is in front of Lozano's, the warehouse where they have the detained individuals.
He almost came at her in her chest, you know, to kind of like assert his power, you don't tell me what to do, you don't yell at me.
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup.
This is Ashley with Status Coup.
On the ground.
In Philadelphia.
Flint, Michigan. East Palestine, Ohio. Please support the leading independent news outlet on the ground.
Covering what the corporate media covers up.
Can you please tell us what your name is and about what happened on Friday and where you're from?
Yes, Lupita from Immokalee, Florida, just one of the volunteers at Unidos Immokalee. Friday, we were called to sort of mobilize with our rapid response units because we found out that there was an operation happening amongst many different agencies, including FWC, which is the Florida Wildlife, and then Border Patrol and our CCSO. Perhaps others we couldn't completely confirm, but they came out into our community during a time when folks were coming home and going to cash their paychecks, getting off of work, everything from landscape jobs to hospitality to farm work, and so they were all out and about doing their Friday weekend things, and were targeted. We happened to come upon a supposed traffic stop of two young men in a smaller SUV.
Was that the stop that you had on your live?
Yes, that was the stop that we had on our live.
Where they pulled the passenger out?
Yes, they pulled the passenger and they detained the passenger. And the passenger looked very young, almost a minor. He was immediately, as the crowd of community members grew, he was immediately pulled very violently, I would say, into the Border Patrol truck. Almost thrown in there. We were trying to get the attention of CCSO, citizens and volunteers alike, to ask what was going on. We were yelling, for Border Patrol to get out of our town. Emotions were really high. A sergeant that came upon the scene immediately came to one of the young girls that was videoing and had high emotion. She was yelling. She was saying, for ICE to get out of our town. We don't want you here. And he came right at her.
I noticed he got close.
Yes, he almost came at her in her chest, to kind of like assert his power, you don't tell me what to do, you don't yell at me. And I immediately tried to defuse because what I wanted them to know that we have every right to be very upset, that the lack of transparency of what's happening, that we understand that Collier County is a jail force model and has been that way for 17 years. And what was going on, because what we were seeing was a task force model. And so I kept kind of repeating that. I also said, we know that these are our tax-paying dollars when you guys do big operations like this, so we have every right to request FOIA, to look at what, who decided on these types of actions.
And I did notice that you all are instructing people to follow at 25 feet or greater, so they're compliant with the law.
Yes, we were letting folks know, and for pretty much our rapid response, they know what is within their right as citizens and those that are able to move around freely, those volunteers that from the community that show up. And they make up everything from social workers to young professionals, to students, to moms, to people of faith. These are all walks of life that are very concerned for the escalation. And I did address that with the officer at that time. Of are we going to begin to see this escalation? Does CCSO feel pressured?
What was his response to that?
There was a lot of just. There's a lot of illegals here. That's all he wanted to say. And I said, nothing has changed. And you said you've been here for 17 years. One thing that I can tell you is that I see that you're wearing a shirt that says agriculture. Agriculture has benefited mostly from undocumented labor for decades and generations. And it's very hypocritical for now there to be an escalation as if they are criminals. It's unclear why this gentleman was stopped. It's unclear why you took the passenger. And so it was a lot of that kind of conversation. We took down his badge number, we took down his name. We're hoping to get more clarity on what kind of operation that was that weekend.
Support this critically important on-the-ground reporting as a Status Coup member and get great perks. Become a member right here.
But later, we found out that back in February of 2025 of this year, Sheriff Rambos in Collier County did go to the Collier County Board of Commissioners to tell them of his plan to add back on the task force model and add it to the jail force model that is currently operating. So since February that passed, there was no notice to the public of this happening, or if there was, it didn't happen, where we found out. So that puts a lot more into context, and I think creates a lot more feelings of being high on alert of what further escalations. It was just in the Naples Daily News on the front page, FHP to increase escalation of detainments. So what I remember speaking to this officer and saying, we've seen that you're gaslighting us into believing that this is not happening or this is just normal, and it's not. And he said, you don't believe everything you see on social media. And I said, well, the difference between organized
you guys are there. You're watching it.
I said, we are impacted and we are seeing it.
You're
and
creating
it's
the
not just
content
on social media. I said, we confirm information from people on the ground, from ACLU, from organizations that are fighting to keep our democracy by a thread. And I said, I'm going to ask you, does CCSO want to continue to build better trust in this community, or are you going to fail us by not being transparent and beginning to escalate harassment and terrorizing of these families in the community? So that the next day we were still rotating and trying to be out and just trying to listen to the people, get out and walk around the town to see what people were feeling, what they were hearing. We ended up hearing that Sunday they were going to target, that Border Patrol and CCSO or this agency operation was going to try to target and raid churches. And so we immediately positioned ourselves in different areas where we know there's
and
a
that's
high
today,
presence.
right?
That was yesterday evening and today. Today and yesterday evening, luckily we have not seen anything like that, but there has been today a higher CCSO and FHP presence on all arterial roads coming in and out of
So you're
Immokalee
seeing an
and in
escalation
town.
in law enforcement.
Yeah, with traffic stops, but we did not confirm as of yet, in terms of the information that I have right now, that we saw Border Patrol again in the community. So.
The individuals that they detained are in the back of the warehouse. We have been able to see that they have them on the floor. If you are in the area, it is in front of Lozanos, the warehouse where they have the detained individuals. They detained a lot of hardworking men. Their reasoning was apparently the tint on vehicles was too dark. Yeah, no, it's okay. The vans are coming. All of this patrolling for that. This is one of the vans, y'all. I'm back. Don't fucking tell me what to do. No tienen bolita. They don't even have Sawgrass Palmetto. Why are they stopping them?
You should be disgusted with yourself for violating people's rights.
Another person, otra persona en nuestra comunidad.
We're hoping that the pressure that we've tried to do by staying organized, by speaking to the community, by not sort of hiding, right, in fear, that we can let these agencies know that we are not going to tolerate this kind of escalation and terrorization of innocent working people who have various stages of documentation processes, right? Because again, just to blanket and be very black and white about they're illegal is not the case. We know that the system's broken. We know that we continue to understand that people that have been detained, and including the people that are being detained here, are not criminals or do not have criminal precedents or that don't have that criminality, but have only been trying to work and navigate the either asylum system or some sort of immigration system to try to get status here to work to provide for their families.